The rebellion without words, Burkina Faso and Mali boycott Abuja. The silent defiance, why Mali and Burkina Faso did not attend the Abuja summit and what it means for Africa's future. The stage was set in Abuja, polished podiums, flags of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, lining the hall, and delegations from across West Africa gathering for another high-stakes summit. But this time, something, or rather, someone was missing. Mali and Burkina Faso were not there. Their absence was not an oversight. It was not a scheduling conflict. It was a deliberate, calculated, and politically resonant act of defiance, one that echoed across the continent with the force of a declaration of war against the old order. This was no walkout. It was a non-attendance, a refusal to even legitimize the forum with their presence. In the world of diplomacy, showing up is the first sign of respect. By not coming to Abuja, Mali and Burkina Faso sent a message far more powerful than any speech or resolution: we do not recognize your authority. We will not play by your rules. Why their absence matters more than a walkout. A walkout is dramatic. It makes headlines. But not showing up at all? That is a deeper, more profound rejection. It says, this institution no longer represents us. Your agenda is not our agenda. Your unity is not our unity. ECOWAS, once hailed as a symbol of regional cooperation, has increasingly been accused of becoming a puppet of foreign interests, particularly those of France and the West. For nations like Mali and Burkina Faso, which have undergone seismic political shifts in recent years, ECOWAS is no longer seen as a neutral body for African progress, but as an enforcer of neocolonial control. When ECOWAS imposed harsh sanctions on Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso following military takeovers that enjoyed overwhelming popular support, it exposed a stark divide between leaders who prioritize international approval and those who answer to the streets. By refusing to attend the Abuja summit, Mali and Burkina Faso made it clear that they will no longer participate in what they see as a charade, a performance of unity that masks deep fractures and foreign allegiance. The roots of the rift, from Sankara to Traoré. To understand this moment, one must look back to the era of Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader who dared to imagine an Africa free from foreign manipulation. Sankara's spirit looms large over today's Sahel. His defiance, his vision, and his tragic assassination serve as both inspiration and warning. Today, Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso and Colonel Assimi Goïta of Mali are seen by many as the spiritual heirs to Sankara's legacy. Like Sankara, they have expelled French military forces, nationalized resource extraction, and rejected economic dependency. And like Sankara, they are facing isolation not from their people, but from the regional and international bodies that claim to speak for Africa. Their absence in Abuja was not merely political, it was ideological. It was a statement that the future of Africa will not be negotiated in conference rooms dominated by Western-backed leaders. It will be forged in the streets, in the mines, and in the military barracks of nations willing to fight for sovereignty. The birth of the Alliance of Sahel States, AES. Mali and Burkina Faso did not stand alone in their boycott. They were joined by Niger, forming what has become known as the Alliance of Sahel States, AES. A mutual defense pact and emerging economic bloc. Together, these nations are building an alternative system, one based on military sovereignty, replacing French and Western troops with Russian-trained forces and homegrown counterinsurgency units. Economic independence, launching projects like the gold-supported Sahel franc, aimed at replacing the CFA franc. Resource nationalism, taking control of gold, uranium, and oil reserves long exploited by foreign corporations. The AES is more than an alliance, it is a challenge to the entire post-colonial order in West Africa. ECOWAS in crisis, a house divided. The absence of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger has left ECOWAS weakened and exposed. The bloc is now fractured between pro-Western states like Nigeria, Côte d'Ivoire, and Senegal, which advocate for diplomacy and alignment with Europe and the US, Sovereigntist states like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, which are turning toward Russia, China, and Turkey for partnerships. Neutral but wary states like Ghana and Togo, which are watching carefully and may soon be forced to choose sides. This divide is not merely political, it is existential. If ECOWAS cannot reconcile these competing visions, it risks irrelevance. The global implications: a multipolar Africa emerges. The non-attendance of Mali and Burkina Faso in Abuja is not just a regional issue, it is a global one. It signals the acceleration of a multipolar world order in which African nations are no longer content to align with a single superpower. Russia has gained influence through military cooperation and resource deals. China is investing in infrastructure and positioning itself as a non-colonial partner. Turkey is emerging as a key defense and economic ally. France is losing its grip on its former colonies and panicking. The Sahel has become the laboratory for a new kind of foreign policy, one based on pragmatism, not ideology. The People's Revolution: silence as a weapon. In the streets of Bamako and Ouagadougou, the absence of their leaders in Abuja was not seen as a snub, it was celebrated as an act of courage. For millions of young Africans, Traoré and Goïta are heroes, symbols of resistance against a system that has long failed them. This is not just about politics, it is about generational change. The youth of the Sahel are digitally connected, politically awake, and deeply skeptical of the old guard. They don't want speeches, they want action. They don't want summits, they want sovereignty. By not attending the Abuja summit, Mali and Burkina Faso spoke directly to them in a language of defiance that requires no translation.